Welcome to PU webinar series. Today's topic is roadmap to connect top product companies. Today we have guest speaker Hare Krishna sir with us. Hare Krishna sir, who is the founder of Coding School, he has previously worked with companies like Zomato and Rapido as a software developer. He has also worked with many ed tech firms and has developed student upskills themselves in problem solving. He was also the All India topper of NPTEL programming exam conducted by IIT Kharagpur in 2018. Now let me tell you about his company, Coding Spoon, an EdTech organization devoted to excellence in teaching and mentoring people around problem solving, data structure, and algorithms, and making them rockstar engineers. Welcome, sir.
Yeah, thanks Nishit for the introduction. And first of all, thank you everyone for joining this webinar. And my sincere gratitude to Parul University and PU webinar organization for conducting this webinar. So today's webinar will be around, how to crack top product-based companies, the entire roadmap, what should be the strategies around that thing. So we'll be beginning around that thing very soon. And I think Nishit has already given, a brief intro about myself. Just to, tell you guys that what I have been doing before launching Coding Spoon. So I was working with a company called Zomato, and I think most of you might know what Zomato is. So I was working with their online ordering team, and I was building, features for the catalog or the menu that you see for a particular restaurant. And even before that, I was working with a company called Rapido. So that's a bike taxi platform to, to book a ride from point A to point B. So I was working in their offers and incentives team. So whatever discounts or the offers that you apply while booking a ride. So basically we're building that system there. And yeah, and I'm also, a computer science graduate. So yeah, so I think we can begin the session. So before that, let me just share my screen. Okay, I think this would be visible to all of you. So basically, as I mentioned, that today's agenda would be around, how do we crack top product-based companies? So yeah, before I begin, I would just like to give you, a gentle warning that this webinar is not for someone, who wants to be an average engineer. Rather, it is for someone who wants to be a rockstar engineer, or maybe a rockstar problem solver, right? We would come to know that, what does a problem solver means later in the in this webinar. So and this roadmap that I have prepared is basically based on my experience as an interviewee and also as an interviewer. The time when I was working with the corporate, I also got the chance, to interview a lot of candidates. And based on the, the feedback that I have got, the results that I have seen, we have prepared this roadmap. And also I have implemented it on a lot of my mentees, and they have also given positive result on this thing. And also it has also been reviewed by the people or the expert working in the industry, right? So yeah, so let's begin with something. What is product-based company? So this webinar is around, how to crack top product-based company, but let's first understand what is a product-based company. So basically a product-based company is a company that builds a product that could be used by an end user, right? So just to give you an example, let's say we have Zomato, right? So Zomato is an application which you can use to book, to basically order something, right? To order your food. Maybe you can use Amazon to order your, like whatever things that you like from the e-commerce site, right? Paytm, you can use it to pay money or to book, a train ticket or maybe anything, right? So these are the companies which are basically, providing services to the directly to the end users, right? There is nothing, basically there is no one in the intermediate. But if I talk about companies like TCS, Cognizant, what they do is they basically, they build products, or they build or they provide services to the companies that basically they help other companies to, in their motive to help their users, right? But they are not directly providing services to the end users, right? So I hope this might be clear that what is a product-based company. So a product-based company is basically that is driven by an idea that their product should be better, their product should be directly used by the end users, right? So now we have a fair idea of product based companies. Why should one join a product based company? What is the benefits of joining a product based company? Or maybe if you're starting your career with a product based company, what are the benefits of it? Right, the first thing is obviously, a lot of people might acknowledge this fact that product based companies do offer you great compensation, right? The average compensation would lie somewhat around 10 to 40 lpa, right? In any product based companies, if it's totally on the product side, and it is it is really valued in the market as well, that has a brand recognition as well, right? So the first thing is compensation. The other thing is the work environment that they give you. So in a lot of companies, especially in the companies which are on the service side, let's say maybe TCS, Cognizant, or the other companies, most of the times what generally people do is at the fresher level, they mostly work on the the maintenance part. They do some bug fixing and all, maybe some sort of maintenance kind of work, right? But in product based companies, you are actually working on the feature. You're implementing things. You're writing code which would be basically which will go into millions of devices, right? Or which could be used by a large set of users, right? So obviously you will have a great work culture there. The learnings would be high. The third thing is the hierarchy. If you see, in the service based companies, so service based company have a different level of hierarchies. That if I just have to give you an example of TCS, maybe TCS could have 10 plus level of hierarchy, right? But in product based company, there is a very simple hierarchy, or there is a flat hierarchy, right? You can easily get promoted. It doesn't matter how many years of experience you have. I have seen people getting promoted from junior engineers to senior engineer, like in a matter of year or maybe two, right? But generally in on the service side companies, this thing is not that easy, right? Because they follow a strict guidelines and the hierarchy of basically promoting people through these hierarchies, right? The other thing could be the exposure. So the service based companies, they hire people in mass, or basically in bulk, right? A lot of time what happens is generally these companies just hire you just for the sake that they could provide you some kind of basically some job or work, but they keep you on bench, right? You could be on bench for an year, for 6 months or something, right? But and they also hire in bulk, that I already mentioned. Like TCS alone hires almost 40-50,000 freshers every year, right? So you can just have an idea that what sort of people that you have there, right? But if you see, if I take an example of any top product based companies, let me take an example of Zomato. Let's say Zomato might have around 300 or 400 engineers, just 300 and 400 engineers handling the scale of 100 millions of users, right? So that sort of exposure you get, because these companies hire only the best people. And if you're working with the best people, obviously you will have the great career path and the great learning path as well, right? And the career and the next thing is the faster growth that I already mentioned, because when you're working with this company, you are working with a limited number of people, right? So obviously you will have a lot of responsibilities as well, right? You will be responsible for different things. Like obviously you'll be responsible for the for the tech work that you're doing, but obviously you will also learn about the different verticals of the business. Let's say you're working with tech, what sort of features you are implementing, how it is impacting the business, how it is bringing more revenue, how it is basically helping the customers to to have a great experience of using your product, right? So you will also be engaged there as well, right? You will not be just writing a code which just goes into production and you don't know nothing about it, right? So that sort of things you will have. Apart from that, this companies offers you a lot of different facilities. Like they offers you bonuses, they give you vacation time, free food, parties and all, right? So I definitely believe that there is a lot of perks of joining a product based firm as compared to a service based company. There could be some pros of joining service based company as well, but I think joining a product based company would be a good career option, even if you're starting your career, right? So yeah, so how now we know that what are product-based companies, and what are the perks of joining these product-based companies. But how do we get into these companies, right? The first question which might come to everyone, that how do I get into this sort of companies, right? So I'll just give you basically a survey which was conducted by HackerRank, and I hope that most of you know that what is HackerRank. So it's a platform where people code, and even the recruiters hire people through that platform, right? So HackerRank conducted a survey in 2018, and what they basically did was they questioned around 71,000 of the recruiters, and they asked that what is the the core skill set that you need in every potential hire. And almost 95% of them mention the problem solving skills as the one of the the core skills or the major skills that they need in every hire, right, or in every potential hire which are on the tech side, right? So problem solving skill is definitely I think now you might have got the idea that there is something called problem solving skills, right? And it is one of the skills that could take you into these companies, right? And you might have also heard of these things, you might have watched a lot of blogs, videos on digital platforms, obviously, mentioning that focus on your problem solving skills, focus on your data structure skills if you are from computer science background, or you want to see yourself in in IT and CS background, right? So even after having so much of clarity around these things, what I have also felt, and we have researched about this thing, that a lot of people on the fresher level, or people who are in the college, they mostly get attracted by the technologies, right? They focus on learning web development, they focus on building website, they focus on AI, ML, they start learning big data. I'm not saying you don't have to learn this thing, obviously if you have interest, go with it, but first focus on your fundamentals, right? First learn how do you think of a solution. Given a problem, how can you find optimal solutions to it, right? So that is what a problem solving means, right? And if you're a computer science engineer, it would be around data structures and algorithm, right? If you can write an efficient algorithm, that means you can think of a solution efficiently, right? So a lot of time what happens is this people, or this fresher people who might be in final year, or who might be in first or second year, they get attracted by this fancy and these buzzing technologies, and they focus on that part. Trust me, no companies will hire you just on the basis of the technology, because if you are a fresher, you are a fresher, right? So if you will be reaching out to any of these companies, your almost 80 to 90% of your interview or your initial few rounds would be around coding rounds, right? Or would be coding interviews. Apart from coding, they might ask you some other CS subjects like operating system and database. We will come to that later. But problem solving is one of the important part that plays major role in at least product based companies. If you're going for service based company, they might ask you things around aptitude and all. There could be group discussion round and all. But if you're targeting product based companies, you should be a smart person, and by smart person I mean that you should be a problem solver, right? So obviously focus on problem solving skills, and once you land into this company, because you don't know at a fresher level that what sort of technologies you will be working on when you will get into these companies, right? Let's say you got selected into Uber, right? And you have basically you have worked in Node.js, but Uber has a system built in Golang. In that case, you cannot tell them that, okay, I know Node.js, please give me work in Node.js, right? You have to learn Golang and build system there, right? So that is why I'm saying that focus on technology only after you have learned problem solving skills, right? Because you are an engineer, right? You are not someone who is just defined by a tool, right? People might tell you that, okay, we are Java developer, I did something in Python, I wrote script in Python, but only a problem solver will tell you that this was the problem that we were basically solving. Let's say we were about to, basically we had a problem of scaling users to scaling our user base, right? So that sort of problems they will tell you what is the actual problem they are solving, not the technology. They will not define the technology that they will be using, right? So that is a difference between someone called a problem solver, or someone who just brag about technology, or someone called a code monkey maybe, right? So yeah, well, now I think we have a fair idea that why problem solving is important, and how it can land up, how it can land you into these companies. There are some few myths around this thing, that generally what people feel is that like data structures and problem solving will require a lot of time to learn, right? While I totally disagree with this fact, the reason, because I have seen people who were not even from computer science background. There was a friend of mine working in Rapido, and he was a hardware engineer, right? He learned coding in just couple of months. There was a friend of mine in mechanical background, and he learned problem solving in 4 or 5 months, and he's now working with an American giant called Falabella, right? I can give you a lot of examples. People who are not even from computer science background, they have learned problem solving, and they have got into these great companies, right? And there is also myth that it is difficult if you are from tier 2 or tier 3 background. or tier 3 colleges, probably it is difficult for you to get into these companies. Obviously, I totally believe that, these companies might not come to your colleges, but we will explore that, how will we reach out to those companies, right? And just to give you an idea that, almost 70 to 80% of the people working in these top tech companies are not from IITs or NITs. They are also from tier 3 or tier 4 backgrounds, right? So and yeah, the next thing I already mentioned, that, people feel that only CS people can learn coding. No, everyone can learn coding, right? Even Google hire people irrespective of the, of their engineering background, right? And yeah, and the last thing is that people feel that you need to learn competitive programming. So there is something called competitive programming, which will help you in cracking the coding interviews. Definitely not. If you know the basic data structures and the standard algorithms, and you know how to basically, optimized solution, then definitely you can crack the coding interviews of this company. There is no need to, basically getting into being aggressively doing competitive programming, right? If you know basic DSA and you have good command over at least one programming language, you can definitely, sit for the interviews or the coding rounds of these companies, right? So what are the skill set that is required to, get into these companies? The one thing that I already mentioned is the problem solving skills. Focus on your data structures and algorithmic skills. Let's say if you're writing algorithm, try to, work around that thing, that if is this algorithm optimized or not, can I find an even more efficient algorithm than this, right? So that will be covering your coding interviews and the coding round part. And apart from that, you should also know about, something called operating system, CS fundamental subjects like operating system, object oriented programming, database concept. Just a nice idea about this thing. You don't have to, do a master in this thing. Because why do we have to know this subject? Because if you're writing code, you should know how your code is performing, on the machine or on the server, right? When you will be writing code which goes, basically, which is basically for, let's say, 10 million users or maybe 100 million users. In that case, you should know that, how your server is going to perform, what are the different aspects of the, operating system that comes into this thing while you're writing code at scale, right? So that is why we need to have, understanding around this thing as well, right? And if you're a fresher, obviously if you're not experienced, and I totally believe that most of you who are watching this webinar, either you might be already graduated or you might be in your final year. So you need to have at least one good project, right? You might have built this project while you were in college. It could be one simple project, it could be anything, it could be a simple website, it could be anything. Either if you know machine learning or anything, you could have built a model, you could have trained a model around that thing, something in AI ML, or maybe just a website around that thing, right? So you should have one good project. The other thing that also comes into picture, while interviewing for these companies, is that cultural fit rounds. And nowadays, this is one of the important, the deciding criteria that whether you're going to get selected or not, right? A lot of time what happens is, even if you clear all the technical rounds, you will still get rejected. The reason, because you might have not performed good in the manager or the HR round. So what generally this companies sees in this, particular round is that, are you a good team player or not? Do you have the, zeal to work with these companies? Because if you're totally not interested, they will also be not hiring you. The reason, because they don't want to, basically they don't want to have people who don't have the, the motivation to work, or basically the a team player attitude to work with everyone, right? Because what happens generally is, when you are in college, you're working as an individual, you're writing code that you only knows, right? But when you're getting into corporate, you will be working with people, probably in a team, right? You will be working in a team, you have to explain your solution to people, you have to attend meetings and all, right? You have to explain your solution. So that sort of thing, that is why this culture and the manager rounds are important. You should have decent communication. I'm not saying that focus only on the communication part. Have a decent communication, that you are able to explain your solution. And like, when you will get into this companies, eventually you will start learning this thing as well, right? So yeah, now we know that what are these things, and what is the skill set we require. Now, how do we apply it to this company? What are the platforms that we can reach out to these companies? So the one could be the careers page. So let's say, whenever I open any website, maybe if I have to, let's say, book, let's say I opened ola.com, right? So ola.com ka website will have something called careers page as well, right? So if you will scroll down to the end of the website, you will see a careers option there, right? So there you can check it out if you have, like, if the company has any openings for your profile. Let's say if you're a fresher, you'll be obviously looking for software engineering roles on the fresher level, SD1 roles or product engineer roles, right? So that sort of things you can try, like you can visit their careers page. We'll be talking about about each of this in a greater detail after this. I'm just giving you a few pointers around this thing. So careers page, it could be one option. There could be job referrals. Let's say you know someone who is working at that company, or maybe you have a LinkedIn connection, right? LinkedIn is one powerful tool. I'll be talking about LinkedIn, how you can use LinkedIn. So you can reach out to people through LinkedIn. You can ask them for job referrals, and if you get job referrals, then you would be able to give interviews for these companies, right? And apart from that, there are a lot of hiring challenges as well. So I think how many like most of you might have heard about Hacker Earth, Hacker Rank, Tech Gig and all, right? So this platform hosts hiring challenges. So their companies come and they host their challenges, and if you're good enough to basically get selected in their contest, then you will be able to get into the interviews part as well, right? And the last could be you can directly reach out to a recruiter if you know them, right? So let's look at the careers page option. So like I already mentioned that almost every company has a career page. So what you have to do is you have to regularly keep a check on these companies, right? Or on their careers page, if they are updating their careers page with the profiles that you are currently looking out for. And a lot of times what happens is this companies might not have updated their careers page. They might have posted job on LinkedIn, they might have posted job on Instahire, Naukri.com, or anything. So you can also visit this website and search for that particular company if they have any openings or not, right? This could be one way. But the reason, because why we should also go with the other options as well apart from careers page, the ratio or the conversion rate from application to getting a job offer through careers page is very less, because these companies will get a lot of application from the candidates, and it would be very difficult for them to screen everyone. So they might reject you even in the your resume screening, right? Your resume might not be good, right? You might have prepared a resume that is not relevant, or that doesn't have skill set that they are requiring, or it might be a long resume. A lot of time what happens is people prepare 2-page resume, 3-page resume, but that is not required. Make your resume or CV just 1 page, right? So yeah, the conversion is fairly low. So we have to obviously have other options as well. So what could be the other option? Job referrals, right? How do we get job referrals? So what happens is I already mentioned that you can use LinkedIn as one of the tool to get a job referral. You can reach out to people, and the major benefit of getting a job referral is that you don't have to give the preliminary test, or the the initial few rounds, or the screening test. While it might not be applicable to all of the companies, but a lot of companies skip the preliminary test if you are referred by someone. The reason, because the person who has referred you will also be getting some incentives if you get selected, right? So that is why what they focus is that the person who has referred you has already screened you on different or basically has already evaluated you on different parameters, right? And only then you have got the referral. So this company will directly give you interview call, and you will be sitting for the interviews and all, right? And the thing that I already mentioned, that LinkedIn could be one thing. But how do we use LinkedIn? So the first thing that we have to do is we have to reach out to the right people working in the right company, right? Let's say I want to get a referral for Rapido, or maybe Zomato, or anything, let's say Amazon. So what I'll do, I'll search Amazon on LinkedIn. I'll see who are the people working on the Amazon. I may be connecting to few of them, and what I'll be doing is I'll be sending them a my basically entire request that hey, this is me, this is my resume, and if you have some achievements or you have done something really great in your life, do mention that pointers as well. Put up a nice description about you, and then ask them that this is the this is the job description link that I'm looking for. Can you refer me to these companies and all, right? Create a template around that thing. Don't just send a hi and wait for the other person to respond back, right? It is not your Instagram or Facebook that a lot of time what happens is people working in this company, they are really busy. They don't have time to even respond you back, right? So definitely if you're writing hi, hello or something, you will be missing out on your messages, right? So be very like informative about what you want to convey to them. Be very precise around that thing, right? And try to sell yourself. If you have done really great, that I already mentioned, that put it in your resume as well, and put it in your message as well, that if I have done something really great, put it there, right? So yeah, this thing you should be focusing on. And apart from that, try to reach out to basically to people who are from your domain. Let's say you're applying for a front end role. Try to reach out to a person who is also working in the front end role. So let's say if you want to apply for a front end role and you're reaching out to a person who is working in the testing domain, it might be difficult for that tester to evaluate you for your front end skills, right? So try to reach out to people who are in this working in the same domain. And let's say even if they're not responding you back, try to follow up after a week or something, but don't try to spam them by basically messaging them every time, right? If they're not responding you back after 2 or 3 follow-ups, leave them. Go to next connection or maybe find someone else, right? So this thing you should take care while basically asking for referrals on LinkedIn, right? The other thing of getting into this company is the hiring challenges that I already mentioned. So this hiring challenges will require data structures and algorithmic skills, because a lot of time what happens is this coding or this hiring challenges are focused around problem solving itself, right? Hacker Earth have, like, I think every week they are hosting a lot of challenges by the companies, right? So if you are good enough in your problem solving skills and all, then you can check out this platform and see that if you could participate in any of the hiring contest, and if you get shortlisted, you will directly receive an interview call from these companies. They might ask you coding question, they might ask you MCQs on computer science concepts like database, object-oriented programming concept, operating system concept, right? Computer science is majorly problem solving, data structures, your operating system, DBMS, and OOPS and all concepts, right? Just this few things, right? You don't have to be worried about everything, right? And sometimes they might give you development challenges as well, but generally development challenges are for the people who are already little experience. Let's say you have 2 or 3 years of experience and I want to hire a Java developer. In that case, I'll put up a challenge around Java only, right? But generally for freshers, it would be around data structures, it would be around CS concepts only, right? Now we know that how do we reach out to these companies. I already mentioned that problem solving skills is really important. While there are other factors also, people feel that if you have got a referral, you will land up a job. You will not land up a job, right? Referrals will not land you a job, but skill set will. So you have to first focus on building skill set. And also I already mentioned that your college, like from which college you belong, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, even your branch, doesn't matter if you have this decent problem solving skills. Like most of these employees working in these top tech companies are from tier 3 or tier 4 colleges, right? So yeah, I think that you have got a fair idea, basically how to reach out to these companies and what sort of skill set that you need to have, right? And just to give you one more thing, that how do you learn this coding skills? Let's say you have a timeline of 4 or 5 months right now, okay, and you want to prepare yourself in 4 or 5 months. So follow a roadmap, like prepare a roadmap of 4 or 5 months. First, build a command at least over one programming language. Let's say you could be proficient in Java, you could be proficient in C++, or any programming language, right? But I would prefer start with C++ or C. The reason, because they are beginner friendly languages. If you're starting with Java is entirely it's a purely object oriented programming language, right? So if you're not aware of what classes are, what are objects and all, right, and if you're starting directly with Java, it might be difficult for you to understand things there, right? So start with C or C++, and if you know C or C++, you can start with Java as well. So build a command over at least one programming language, then start with some ad hoc questions. Try to do some questions that will help you to basically brush up your skills in that particular programming language that you have picked up, right? Then start with basic data structures like arrays, strings, 2D arrays, and all searching, sorting, and all, right? Basic DSA coding concepts. And then start with advanced problem solving concepts like dynamic programming, recursion, stack queues, and all. So all this concept you can start after having command over one programming language, and then building, basically having basic DSA understanding, and then going to complex stuff. And apart from that, I already mentioned that you should also focus on core subjects, like have a nice idea about this thing, that what are operating systems, like the concepts around processes and thread, scheduling algorithms, concepts around memory and all. In database, you can learn about how to build a SQL query, normalization, ER model, and all, right? In networks, just have a nice idea that how computer networks works and all those basic IP and all, right? So after having this thing, you should have some basic idea around soft skills as well. How do you have to go to an interview, how you have to explain your solutions, right? Your soft skills, right? That you can work on. And also you could have done something apart from the technical skills which will enhance your CV as well. You might have participated in some extracurricular activities, you might have participated in some hackathons or anything. That could be good. And apart from that, the very important thing is have a mentor, right? What happens is a lot of time people they basically purchase courses. They feel that okay, they want to learn coding, they will simply purchase a code on XYZ website, and they'll start learning that thing, right? And most of the time those courses are recorded courses, right? So what happens is when you watch a video, let's say I'm watching a video on any data structure, right? Now if I'm getting a doubt, I have a different approach from the approach that person is explaining in the video. Whom do I reach out to? I don't have anyone to discuss the solution, I don't have anyone to guide me, right? So do find a mentor. It could be anyone, it could be your friend, it could be your senior, it could be anyone, a person working in the industry, right? So have a mentor, for this thing, that someone, or maybe you can find a group that is also working in this thing. Basically those people are also doing coding, right? So find that group, that would also work. And if you can find a mentor, that would be really great, right? And some of the coding concept that you can make a list of that, when you have a fair idea of the basic data structures, and you have command over at least one programming language, then you can start with these concepts like dynamic programming, trees, linked list, stack and queues, searching and sorting. Obviously there are other concepts like graph and all, but don't simply jump to graph if you have not done this particular things, right? So a lot of time what happens is most of these companies might not ask you that difficult level of questions in graph, but generally this kind of questions, like questions around dynamic programming, most of your Amazon interview might have this question around dynamic programming. They will ask you algorithm around trees, they might ask you questions around linked list. Linked list is one of the favorite topic of every interviewer, right? Because it tests you around every edge cases and the boundary cases. Stack and queue, searching and sorting, right? So obviously you can work on these concepts, and once you have a fair understanding of every the problem solving skills and some bit of fair idea about the core CS subject, you can start reaching out to these companies. That the platform I already mentioned, that you can reach out to careers page through LinkedIn, through connections and all. And yeah, I think this is this would be enough if you are following this entire roadmap. After probably 4 or 5 months, or maybe it might take 3 months for someone, it might take 4 or 5 months for someone, you would be in a good position to be basically getting ready for the interviews of these companies, right? Yeah, I think I'm done from my end. Nishit, are you there?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Hello. Yes.
Yeah, I'm done from my end. I think I have explained them everything around what is required to get into these companies.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Any
Thank you.
question that you have to take, like people have questions around that thing, because I'm not able to see the chat option.
If any question is there, I will be letting you know. Okay.
Sure, sure, sure.
It seems that you have explained so well that there are no doubts.
Okay. Uh, yeah, so I think I'm done. Maybe we can, give them an idea that we also have a platform around this thing.
So thank you so much, Hare Krishna sir, for explaining how to crack this type of interview and what are the top product companies and how to attend their interviews and how referral works. So sir is having his own company for teaching this, and about live course that is starting from 15th July. There are 3 days free live courses, and it will be a totally free sessions, so you can attend that. And after that there will be a 8 weeks live boot camps for DSA and problem solving. This is not a pre-recorded course. The class will be held live every day, and evening from there will be a regular doubt session, mock interview, and also he would be having perform based referrals to the candidates. So it's a very good opportunity if any student can have.
Yeah, and for any doubt, guys, you can check out codingspoon.com. And if you're really interested to basically join our bootcamp, you can go to codingspoon.com and submit our application. We would be starting the classes from today. Yeah, I think Nishit, we can wind up this session then.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining this webinar. I hope you might have understood what I have taught today. Thank you, guys.
Sir, webinar is over.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. Actually, I thought that we would be having questions parallel, but I couldn't see that thing. So I think we winded up little early. I think it's around 30-45 minutes, right? 30-40 minutes.
Yeah, I think you have explained so well that no one is having doubt.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. So do we have to is it still getting live on the Facebook, or it has been stopped?
I think it is still live. Wait, I will check.
Okay. Okay. Sure.
Yeah, it is live.
Okay. Awesome.
So here is one question:
Yeah, I'll take it that.
How computer languages playing their role in aeronautical and aerospace engineering?
So I think that person means to ask that will that have a role in on the aeronautical side?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Programming language. While I'm not very sure on that, on that note, because I'm not from aeronautical background, but I do feel that there could be, if you're on the aerospace side, there could be some system that might be using some some code also, right? It might help you if you're starting with a low level language like C or C++, because they are very close to hardware. But if you're starting with a language which is maybe a Java or something, right? I feel that that could be that could not give you an edge. Generally, on the hardware side, we use C or C++, which are very near to hardware. Basically, we are very near to the machine, right? And I'm not very sure about how it is going to help you in the aerospace, but I am totally sure that if you're targeting computer science and the problem solving, it will definitely help you.
Thank you.
Yeah.